India from 600 BCE to 400 BCE, Kingdoms and Republics. By 600 BCE, a part of the Ganga plain had been cleared down into different tracts. It was possible because of large-scale use of iron tools. Farming in these fertile areas yielded rich crops. Many settlements came up in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. The tribal kingdoms now grew in size and came to be called Janapadas, where Janas or tribes set foot. Later on, the territory became big with large boundaries and it was called Mahajanapada. There were 16 Mahajanpadas in North India and among them Koshala, Vatsa, Vajji, Kashi and Magadha emerged as the major power centers. They formed themselves into monarchies and republics. A republic is that form of government in which power is held in elected group of people or by an elected chief, whereas in monarchy, a state is ruled by a single hereditary ruler. For example, the Janapada of Vajji in northern Bihar was a republic, while the Janapada of Magad in southern Bihar was a republic of the kingdoms. The most powerful were Magad, Vatsa, Koshala in Gangetic plains. There were frequent wars among Mahajanpadas. Ultimately, Magadha emerged as the major power center. Trivia: expansion of the Magadha kingdom started during the reign of King Bimbisara. He annexed the kingdoms of Kashi, Mathura and Anga in Magadha. The capital of his kingdom was Rajagriha, the present-day Rajgir in Bihar. The city of Rajagriha and King Bimbisara's palace were built by an architect named Mahagovinda. The Kingdom of Magadha. Bimbisara became the king of Magadha in about 542 BCE. He tried his best to make it a powerful kingdom by adopting various methods. He married the princesses of neighboring ruling families. The neighboring rulers became his friends. Moreover, Magadha had large deposits of iron ore, present Chota Nagpur region. This was a valuable metal as iron was now being used for making tools and implements. It added to the power and wealth of Magadha. Trivia: Ajatashatru, son of Bimbisara, is believed to have murdered his father to usurp the throne of Magadha, but during the later years of life, he turned into an ardent follower of Buddha. So complete with his devotion to Buddha that he was considered to be worthy of having and handling the relics of Buddha. Strong rulers. Magadha had efficient rulers who increased its power and prosperity. Among these rulers were Bimbisara, Ajatashatru and Mahapadmananda. They expanded Magadha's territories through wars and alliances. Ajatashatru fortified Patliputra, modern Patla, from where he could control Gangetic plains and the trade along the Ganga. Rajagriha was their capital. They built roads and canals and promoted river trade. The monarchy of Magadha emerged as the most powerful Mahajanpada by the 6th century BCE. By the time Mahapadmananda became king, Magadha's capital had been shifted to Patliputra. Mahapadmananda brought the entire Gangetic plain under his control. Rise of cities. The production of crops allowed some people to specialize in art and craft such as metalwork, carpentry, jewelry making, pot making, etc. The surplus crops and goods manufactured by the craftsmen led to trade. Cities grew around centers of trade and administration. They were well protected during war and peace. Agriculture. Now it was possible to grow 2 crops in a year. The lands were fertile in Gangetic plain and also manure was in use. Plowshare, hoe and other implements used in farming were now made of iron, which were hard and strong. Many canals and wells were dug to improve irrigation. In many cases, earlier methods of scattering seeds were replaced by transplantation of saplings in fields. These techniques in turn improved the quantity and quality of agricultural produce. Administration. The rulers of Mahajanpada had plenty of resources which enabled them to maintain large and well-equipped, well-paid army for war and peace. This enabled them to control the Gangetic plain. The monarch was the supreme power in administration, though he was helped by ministers called Amatya. The Brahmins were important and powerful. The village was administered by the village headman who had direct access to the king. The villagers themselves checked any misuse of authority by the village headman. A Mahajanpada was usually ruled from its capital city. There was intense rivalry among Mahajanpadas resulting in wars. Therefore, capital cities fortified themselves against enemy attacks by high walls built around them. Fortifications were usually made of mud, stone, wood, or bricks. Revenue. The important source of state revenue was in form of taxes collected from people, that is, farmer, craftsmen, traders, and artisans. Tax collectors collected taxes from the people. Land tax fetched the maximum revenue to the state. Taxes could be paid in money or a revenue share of 1/6 of the total agricultural produce. The revenue collected was spent on paying salaries to the people in administration and the army. It was also used on public works such as construction of roads and canals. Rest of it was deposited in the king's treasury. Several copper plates have been found which suggest that the king gave tax-free villages to Brahmins. Trade. A good network of routes developed which encouraged trade and also better administration and military movements. River and overseas trade also gained importance. Bhrigu Kutch became an important trading port. Punch-marked coins of gold, silver, and copper were used in transactions during trade. The merchants went from village to village to collect the raw material. For example, cotton from the farmers, thread from the spinners, and finally sold cotton cloth produced by the weavers. The merchants got a profit through supplying required goods. Society. The artisans and merchants organized themselves into groups known as shrenis or guilds. Probably they used the punch-marked coins which were not issued by the king. As the artisans lived and worked together, they were regarded as a caste, jati. The sons followed the same profession as their fathers, so the caste became hereditary. Gradually, separate laws were made for each caste. People of one caste or class could not eat with those of another caste, nor could they marry outside their caste. Religion. At this point of time, later Vedic religion was a religion of many rites and sacrifices. Outside the four Varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, a fifth group of untouchables also developed. The untouchables were treated with contempt and were looked down upon. They were supposed to perform unclean jobs, but there was no rational reason for this attitude. The lawmakers laid down rules for the guidance of the life of the higher class, such as 4 stages of ashrama: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. This was the ideal, but one does not know how many followed it. Purana stories do indicate when kings and persons of higher society had ignored the laws. Thus, in the 6th century BCE, Indian religious worship became so extremely rigid and ritualistic that people faced many hardship and felt uncomfortable in such a society. People in general thought that instead of making a show of worship, it was better to lead truthful, moral, and dedicated lives. 2 such men became famous as teachers of the religions Jainism and Buddhism. Mahavira was founder of what came to be called Jainism, and Gautam Buddha preached Buddhism. Both of them belonged to the republic and tribes of Lichavis and the Shakyas respectively. They were brought up as the sons of chiefs.